Amol, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm excited. I think Amol and I have talked about Patient Prism, and it's a patient acquisition tool, and we're going to talk about it a little bit here. Um, but this is the CEO of Patient Prism, Amol Nirgudkar. And Amol, tell us a little bit about your background before we talk about Patient Prism.
You know, I'm despite my Indian heritage, I'm accidentally in the technology world. Although the Indian community loves me now that I'm running a tech company, I didn't start out this way. I spent 20 years being a CPA to a lot of dental practitioners. We serve over 500 dental offices. I just retired 2 years ago as a CPA, helped them with all aspects of tax planning and operations and stuff like that. I was really excited about dentistry for a very long time. And through my CPA journey, I got super interested, became really good friends with dentists all across the country. And some of my best friends today are in dentistry, whether there's hygienists, whether there's assistants, whether there's dentists. And I started a marketing company about 7 years ago to kind of help deliver the right patients to a dental office. And it was not meant to be started as a business. I just said, you know what? I think I know how to attract clients, customers, patients to a dental office. And we applied those Simon Sinek principles of how do you communicate your why? And once you communicate your why, when patients believe that they have called the right place and you are going to take good care of them, then pricing doesn't really matter, right? And people pay way more money for an Apple phone versus a Samsung phone because not because the technology is any different, it's because you believe in Apple's why. So we deployed that. In that process, ended up acquiring a few offices just to learn the business myself, and then realized in that process that one of the big problems in dentistry that some everybody else has told me about it beforehand as well is that as patients call your office and they try to book an appointment, new patients, half of them are lost because we don't communicate well with our practices, with our patients. So Patient Prism was born out of that idea that could we figure out a way to help dental practices convert more on the phone, not by just listening to phone calls, not by just call tracking, but by deploying artificial intelligence to listen to those conversations and provide feedback so quickly that that dental office can actually reach out to that patient again and try to get them back and win them back. And it's really about that experience, about how do we elevate patient experience and how do we deploy this new technology that we call AI, which we're all part of today, to really deliver more patients to the door. As dentistry becomes a more direct to consumer model, it's a more B2C play than ever before. So that's my background. Now I'm running Patient Prism, and I truly enjoy seeing offices uh, book more patients every single day by reducing barriers to entry. And some of these barriers are communication barriers. You guys talk about this, right? Case acceptance, it's all about communication. I mean, the whole journey of a patient has to be around optimal communication at every handoff that happens with the patient, whether it's on the phone, on the website, with your front office, with your assistant, with your hygienist, with your treatment plan coordinator, with the dentist. Every aspect of that patient engagement has to be optimal in terms of communication. And once that happens, I think good outcomes happen. Patient gets the treatment they deserve, and doctors and the office makes the money that they deserve as well.
There's so much in what you just said. I mean, that could be a full day or two of conversation. We only
I'm
have 30
sorry.
minutes today, man.
I'm sorry. I wanted to give a good background on where I come
Yeah,
from.
no, there's so much in there as far as value, and I'll tell you why, because I think there's a huge disconnect. You said you started as a marketing company when you started kind of, pushing forward from your CPA. I started as a marketing company too in 2014 when I started to kind of push away on ways that I can help a dentist. And I think here's the disconnect. The disconnect is we get to an external marketing company and we say, okay, well, bring us new patients. And then the marketing company says, okay, I'm going to bring in new patients. And then boom, from that moment, when the lead or the call or whatever it is that comes into your place of business, now everything falls apart. So, there's that disconnect is the most important part of the business. I mean, if you don't know how to manage your phone calls and those phone calls are not paid attention to, or emails that are not followed up on as far as, getting email leads through live chats or what have you, I mean, your business is dead. Now, when we'll talk about this a little bit, opportunity costs within Patient Prism, which I think is a very amazing asset that it can bring in. And we'll talk about that some, but that disconnect, I think, is the number one thing that doctors need to realize, that it's many times not the marketing firm's fault. You'd be surprised. Look at your missed calls and look at how many calls your marketing team brought into you for $2,000, $3,000 or $5,000 a month, whatever that number is. And then look within your internal systems and look at all the broken pieces that you have. And I think Patient Prism is a technology, software technologies that fits right into that disconnect from external to internal. So, I think you're obviously very smart in realizing that there's a huge gap right there.
It truly is, and it in all of business is about finding these gaps, right? And when we plug them, they may not be big holes, but sometimes a small difference, right, in your schedule rate. When a patient calls you, you got to schedule them. When you schedule them, they got to show up, and when they show up, they got to accept your treatment. And you got to look at these things, right? And a 5% improvement in your schedule rate, a 5% improvement in your show rate, a 5% improvement in your case acceptance rate. Massive difference, right? Massive difference. You don't need to hit home runs. All we need to do is measure what's important to us in dental office. And once we measure it, we know how to manage it. It's Peter Drucker said this perfectly.
Well, let me say this. I was in a pathology class in the dental school, and this instructor said, if you don't know what normal is, you won't know what abnormal is. So the first thing is we got to get the doctor to realize what they need to measure.
Correct.
Right? Because they might not even know what they need to measure. Correct. In order to correct it. So the first thing is, let's identify indicators that are going to move the needle for you. One of them is the disconnect between external and internal, which is that first phone call.
Correct.
So, and that's what we're focused on here with Patient Prism. So let's talk about Patient Prism a little bit, Amol. I know you started in 2015.
Yes.
And tell us the meat of why, and I know we're talking about this, but what is your why as far as a corporation?
It's a great question. What's my why? I'm passionate about dentistry. I love the people in it. I think dentistry changes people's lives. And we are truly, as an industry, we are the front line for people's health. Obviously, the foundation of oral systemic health has been quite well established now. And how do you get, right? We have seen 60% of America has not even seen a dentist. Of the people who have seen a dentist, only half of them have accepted treatment. How do we make dentistry more accessible to more people so that they can lead positive, fruitful lives, whether it's their relationships or their health? And I get up every morning as the CEO of Patient Prism, knowing well that we made every office got an extra patient that came in because of our efforts, and that them coming into that office could change their life forever, right? And yes, obviously we're in the business of delivering optimal health to our patients. That's what dentistry is all about, right? And optimal health, and that's where we feel we come in as somebody who understands what prevents that patient from coming in. Fear is a big barrier. Cost is a big barrier. But sometimes people need to be heard. All of us need to be heard. Our voices need to be heard. And empathy is something that we measure in AI, which is a hard thing to measure. How do you empathize with somebody? If somebody is calling you in the morning and says, hey, I need an implant. And the first thing is, like, how do they know they need an implant? Do they need an extraction? Are they in any pain? what caused this process, right? Once you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, what we've done at Patient Prism, we have analyzed what prevents a patient from moving forward. We look at 13 variables. Uh, were you actively listening to the patient? Did you empathize with them? Or did you offer them financing? Did you offer them all these different things that prevent them from moving forward in their journey towards scheduling an appointment? And that's what Patient Prism is all about, but doing it quickly, right? You could always deploy an army of people to listen to phone calls, right? But by the time you will listen to them, first of all, nobody's got the time. Number two, by the time you listen to them, it's too late because they've already called somebody else. And here you are spending your valuable dollars on Google, Facebook, whatever it might be, postcards, trying to generate people to call you. And the last thing you want to do is first of all, not answer the call, or when you answer the call, create barriers to them. Tell them, oh, by the way, you called me, you need a crown, right? Oh, you may need a buildup, by the way, and you may need a root canal too. It might gonna cost you $4,000. I'm like, really? Is that your job to diagnose that, right? And one of the things we coach a lot through AI and human coaching is that the job of the receptionist at the end, it's a sales job. And we think sales is a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. If you read Daniel Pink's To Sell is Human, he says, selling is the process of moving somebody from a worse spot to a better spot, right? When a patient calls you in pain, they need something else. When you're selling them, when you're moving them to optimal health from worse health, right? And you have to believe that. So it's a sales process. You're not an order taker when you're a receptionist. What you are is a salesperson, person that convinces that patient that they've called the right place. We have competent people here. It's not going to hurt them a lot physically, pain-wise. It's going to be cost-effective for them, and they need to come in and change their life. That's what we coach. We coach that very, very quickly. But really, this would have not been possible 10 years ago, Dr. Safarian. AI, natural language processing, and I'm going to actually show you guys a video that a futurist developed on what the impact of AI today is. And I think we should talk about that first, because we need to embrace this technology, whether we like it or not. It's coming. It's like the fourth industrial revolution. And how it's impacting us, we're already using it. When we order something on Amazon, AI is helping us understand what else we need to buy. When you order an Uber, AI is helping us optimally put the right Uber in our place. There's AI being used everywhere, but dentistry is where AI is coming to, whether it's in natural language processing, which what we do. It's also coming in computer vision in terms of diagnosing caries and diagnosing margins and diagnosing whether you need a root canal. That AI is coming there too. And I think if we embrace that technology early on, I think we're going to be ahead of everybody in terms of making sure that we use it to get more patients in the door.
Yeah, no, very well said. AI, technology is huge. Software technology is not going anywhere. And it's really going to become more evident as we move forward. I think the key is in this relationship, Amol, that you and I have built, and I want to stress this here right now, what we're working on is a partnership where with the help of Patient Prism and Amol, I will come into your place of business for an hour and really look at that fine line of that handoff that occurs from your external team to your internal team, and how everything is managed right at the point of entry, which is such an important component of your business. We're going to talk more about that in the coming weeks, and we're looking forward to launch that program here in the next 2-3 weeks. But Amol, it looks like you're kind of setting up to go into the software. So yes.
Yeah, but you know what? Before even we start, I want to share like a short video with you guys that talks about overall AI. I think it'll get everybody excited about what we're talking about. It doesn't have to do anything with Patient Prism. It has to do with how this technology is going to change our world.
Sure.
So it was a presentation I made last year at the American Dental Support Association of Dental Support Organizations.
Welcome to our brave new world in which computers are hearing, speaking, thinking, and learning. Artificial intelligence is giving humanity the potential to flourish like never before, yet at the risk to self-destruct. We need to talk about AI. AI will be the fastest and greatest wealth generator of our time. AI will help humanity cure diseases, enable smart cities, tackle our environmental challenges, and redefine poverty. This is the opportunity for us to master our own destiny beyond our wildest dreams. Here is the potential for human society to undergo a miraculous upgrade. We need intelligence. We want more of it. Intelligence is our best ally. Developing smart machines is the business imperative, yet the most urgent ethical challenge for humanity. Already the best chess player is a computer. The best Go competitor is a computer. The best driver is a computer. Self-driving cars will eliminate 90% of road death. AI diagnostic systems will help prevent fatalities due to human error. Judges, bankers, and lawyers are next on target to be upstaged by AI. The list goes on. A truly impressive resume. Intelligence is control. Superintelligence is super control. Imagine a world where an increasing number of our human skills are being eclipsed by intelligent, self-improving machines one after another exponentially. To continue to imagine our future in a linear way will lead to fatal assumptions about the scale, the speed, and the impact of change. We may not comprehend how our bots arrive at their decisions, and yet they will increasingly run our lives.
Sounds a little scary. All right. But really is.
Are you telling me I'm going to be replaced?
You're not going to be replaced. I think dentists are really far away from being replaced.
Oh, I was worried, man. I was starting to sweat over here.
Yeah. Hal Varian, this is my favorite quote from chief economist at Google. 1 billion hours ago, modern Homo sapiens appeared. 1 billion minutes ago, Christianity began. 1 billion seconds ago, the IBM PC was released, but the billion Google searches ago was just this morning, right? This is the pace of change. This is what the pace of change we need to look at, right? It's super important for us to understand that change is coming, and change is coming to all aspects of our life, and it's coming to dentistry as well. And if we can harness this change, harness this AI to improve it. AI is not meant for these Terminator type bots to kind of rule our world. It really is to make humans superhumans and to understand how we can optimize our interaction with each other by leveraging this stuff. So that's kind of the background. Patient Prism really was formed to solve this problem. 50% of new patients are lost on the first call. Sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 60, depending on where you are. And what we do at the very basic is we help you win them back, right? We help you win them back by understanding what kind of opportunities are coming in and really helping you capture those things as scheduled appointments. And it's a different way of looking at profitability, right? We don't need to spend more money on marketing just to make more money. We need to make sure that every lead, every new patient, every new prospect that's coming in the door is actually being appointed. Obviously, once they're appointed, you still have to present to them. They have to show up. They have to accept treatment, all that stuff that needs to happen. But if they don't show up at your door, if they don't even get appointed, the rest of it doesn't really work. Dr. Safarian, would you like me to actually show you guys how this works? I know you wanted that for your audience. I'll be more than happy to kind of share some live data as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, you've shared some information about Prism with me, and I think it's very powerful. It'd be great for doctors to see it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, and I'm going to actually, before I even go into this thing, what I'm going to show you guys is a life cycle of one phone call that comes in from a patient who's looking for, and we'll see what they're looking for. So I'm going to exit out of the screen, go into the live software. The only thing we've changed there is the patient specific data for HIPAA purposes. Obviously, we're a HIPAA compliant solution. We don't want to share any patient's data. And this is where we're right live into Patient Prism. And what this shows us, this is one particular office, which received almost 660 phone calls in this office, busy office, from all kinds of marketing numbers, right? They had Google AdWords, Facebook, everything. They were doing everything under the sun. And one of the things that happened from that process was 487 of those calls were connected to a live human being. 173 went to voicemail. And then, as we know, it's really important for us dentists, not us dentists, but dental practices to really answer the phones. Now, 42 plus 5, 47 of these patients were actually existing patients, and we booked 42 of them, about 89%. Great number. We want to be at close to 90% when it comes to scheduling existing patients. But really, the magic of Patient Prism is looking at new patient opportunities. 106 plus 14, 120 new patients called our office in the month of August 2019. 106 of them actually scheduled an appointment. Fantastic news. Opportunities won and lost is based on what did the patient ask for on the phone. Did they ask for an implant? If they do ask for an implant, and if that's on your fee schedule, that's worth 5,000. That's how we come up with an estimated revenue opportunities won or lost. Super important for us to understand what is the value of that phone call that's coming in, and based on what patients ask. Does that mean, is that what the patient actually accepted and needed? Not really, but we need to at least have some idea of what it is that the value of that phone call was. What AI does, we coined AI. We coined this term called RELO, RELO, called re-engage lost opportunity, which meant that we sent out 31 alerts to the dental office, the office manager, whoever was designated to, 31 alerts when a new patient called and decided not to move forward. We sent out 31 alerts by email and text to that office to re-engage with that patient. That's why it's called a RELO, re-engage lost opportunity. 27 of those, the office followed up with 27 of those alerts and converted on the second attempt 9 of those patients who initially said, I'm going to think about it, or maybe I'll call you back. 9 of those patients came back. Imagine having 9 new patients without spending an extra dime on marketing, right? 9 new patients, especially if you're doing those things. 9 new patients. This practice recovered 9 patients. Our average is anywhere between 4 to 10 per office per month. Now, depending on what you do in that office, if you do implants and ortho and some high-end cosmetic stuff, you're going to make a lot more money. You can imagine what the value is. And our first utility patent, Dr. Safarian, was on this technology called CallViz. CallViz was for us an ability to understand what went wrong in a phone call without actually having to listen to it. So let's walk through this alert system. This is AI in works in front of your eyes, right? I'm going to walk down a little bit here. The patient called us at 3:16 p.m. in the afternoon, spoke to us for 2 minutes using Google AdWords numbers. So this came from Google Ads. And the patient hung up. Patient hung up at 3:18, 3:19. And about 3:42 p.m., an alert showed up. An alert showed up saying that, hey, practice, you've lost $9,000 worth of opportunity. You may want to re-engage with this patient. And this alert looked exactly like this. It showed up on your cell phone, showed up on your email address. When you clicked on that link, it showed you lost $9,000. Now, instead of having to play this call in entirety, which we don't have time for, not a lot of office managers have all the time in the world to listen to phone calls all the time, or whoever is listening to them. All we've got to do is look at what AI did, right? AI figured out this was a new patient who was looking for some implants, but who also inquired about some bridges, just in case he couldn't afford implants, right? And then all we've got to do is hover over the green and the red areas in the call to see what happened, and then go back and look at all the stuff that AI figured out in terms of how the patient experience was. Here it says greeting and first impression phase was successful, which means our receptionist did all these things correctly. They announced their name, they offered assistance, they had an inviting and positive tone, well-spoken greeting, and stated business. Super important to have these things done correctly at the outset of the call. As the relationship moved forward, we have the second phase of the call, which is uncover and build a relationship. In this phase, the receptionist was successful in collecting the caller's name, actively listening to the patient, but didn't really ask them about discomfort. One of the things, remember I talked about empathy a lot? Every time a patient calls you and asks you they need an implant, they need an extraction, the first thing you need to be saying is, are you in current pain, sir? Can we help you with anything? And that instantly establishes that rapport with that patient. And it's so much that it's one of our variables in our AI models. The third phase of the call, which is integrity selling and interview process, receptionist discussed insurance coverage, but did not mention any financing or discount club that the practice may have had, did not offer a free consultation to this patient, and didn't offer an appointment time and date. And then at the very end, the receptionist did not make a strong effort to book an appointment or didn't ask for a referring source. So overall, we looked at all these variables. AI looked at this and assigned this a score of 57%. And as a result, patient didn't schedule. Now, this call went to our human call center in Tampa, where the human being sitting there said, based on the AI analysis, here are the 3 coaching comments we're going to provide you. Try offering a complimentary consultation, try offering specials or financing, and try offering an appointment during the call. These are very specific coaching tips of what could have been done on this specific call to get this patient to say yes to an appointment. Along with that, everybody following me so far? Dr. Safarian, am I going too fast?
Yeah, that's great.
Along with this alert, we also sent out a couple of training videos. These videos come from our training library of over 350 videos that have been recorded by over 40 top consultants in America. People like Linda Miles and Fred Joyle and people from all walks of life. They have come in and said, here's are the barriers that we can create. So now, for example, this patient particularly has issues with no insurance, concerned with cost, and a complimentary consultation. So there's a quick video that maybe lasts only 1 minute, and we'll play that for your audience here.
Many times patients call your office and let you know that they don't have insurance, and they're very concerned with the cost. What I want you to do is reassure them that you have alternatives in your office in place to help them afford the cost of their care. So what I would keep in mind is that you offer your third-party financing, whether it be Care Credit or another company. You may have an in-house savings plan. You may have a new patient special. What you want to do is communicate with all of your patients that these are all available to them. Many times patients.
So the idea behind this is not to provide a CE course on how to talk about no insurance. It's basically to provide them, okay, this is what you should have done. Now, what magic happened here was this patient was called back at 4:28 p.m. and scheduled for an appointment. We were able to get all this information in half an hour. Right now, our time, it's 25 to 30 minutes. You get this alert. You said, all right. And then this patient was rebooked for an opportunity worth $9,000. That is the genesis, right? AI allowed us to understand where we went wrong very quickly, understood what we should have done, got some training, and gotten back with that patient within a couple of hours to tell them that, hey, we have financing available. This could be affordable to you. Don't worry about no insurance. We've got lots of options for you. We have many patients that we've seen with no insurance, and we can make this affordable for you.
Well, just a couple of quick questions, just for the audience's purpose here. First of all, if you had a 2-3 minute conversation, really there's probably the meat of it is about 15 to 30 seconds, right? So I think that's one huge efficiency that this can bring in, where you're not just sitting listening to conversations all day, but you're grabbing what's important. The second thing that I wanted to stress, and then obviously the coaching tips that come along with that. The second thing is, can you explain a little bit how you come up with the 9,000? How do you know it's 9,000 and not 8,000 or 12,000?
Well, what we do is when we onboard a practice, we ask them for their basic UCR, right? And then what we do is every time a patient says, I need a crown, the AI or the computer will try to match that with your fee schedule. It's an average number. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like you say, oh, I get $800. I get $1,000 for a crown. That's how it comes up with the opportunity value.
And that's what I wanted you to say, because so doctors realize that there's actually there's communication with your UCR fees. That's how that number comes up. It's not just like, you're throwing a random number in the air. So it's integrated with our UCR, and that's important to understand.
And it's important, right? Whatever number you give us, we're going to present that over there. In a new version that's going to come out early next year is we'll integrate that with the PMS and kind of true that up. But this is important to understand what the value was and try to secure them back really, really quickly. Within, right now our alerts go out between 21 to 25 minutes really. And to be able to get back with that patient, that this particular office followed up with the 27 patients, 9 of them came back, and the revenue opportunity that was earned by them was almost $26,000 of revenue. Wouldn't you like to have $26,000 of extra revenue without actually spending any money, extra money on marketing? Because we were able to reconnect with 27 of those patients. 9 of them decided to come back on the second try. This is where we shine everywhere else, because it really allows, and it's amazing what the patient feels when they get a call from a doctor's office, like, oh my God, you care. Like, you care enough to call me and give me a new offer. And that these people who come back, they really become loyal patients, and they refer, like, this doctor's office actually cared enough to call me back, give me a new incentive to come back in.
So one of the things, Amol, that a lot of consultants or coaches or marketing companies, whatever it is, talk about is they say, hey, you know what you can do is you have an external marketing strategy, and then now you need an internal marketing strategy. So the internal marketing strategy for a lot of companies is, send out birthday reminders, and send out, recall reminders, and send out, hey, refer patients to me, we'll give you $25, or a lot of those internal systems are pretty standard. The opportunity cost is also an internal process of how you can grow your business. So by definition, if you're missing opportunities, if you fix the internal system, in this example, you brought back, I think it was like 30%, if my math is right, of potential business that you lost, and it was $27,000 just for that month.
Right.
Now, how many, direct mailers and business cards and referral requests, and, this is business that you're just simply losing because you're not paying attention. And that is part of your internal marketing strategy to grow your business.
Right. We don't need to keep spending more money constantly to make more money. And sometimes that's the easy route we take. I need to spend more money on marketing. Well, not really. I can convert more patients, callers, into booked appointments. I can convert more unscheduled treatment to scheduled treatment. All right. I can stop the patients who are. I can get better compliance on my perio maintenance patients. There's lots of things we can do, right? Before we start going out and spending more money on marketing. There's a lot of things internal. You're absolutely right, Dr. Safarian. And that's why I love your holistic approach to this, is that you've got to look deeper inside of yourself to figure out what you can fix within your practice before you go outside and say, hey, I need to spend more money.
And this is the thing, Amol. A lot of coaching really is just about just making you realize that you just have to tweak here and tweak there. It's not like you have to go take a 2-year business course so you can run your business. All you got to do is tweak a few things, and tweaking a few things doesn't take a lot of time. You just have to pay attention. So this is why I'm excited to work with Amol. Let me explain. The reason I'm excited to work with Amol is because the private sector needs Patient Prism. See, Amol understands this. He works with DSOs, big DSOs, and the private sector is an area that he wants to grow. If that's a fair statement to make, Amol, right? So,
Absolutely.
Look, we are 80,000 businesses, small businesses in the US. And unfortunately, 95% of us don't even know that we have missed calls, don't know how many missed calls we have every month, and don't even listen to any of the recordings, let alone coach their team to manage the recordings in order to help bring more business in. But yet we go out and pay-per-click and Google ads and Facebook ads and new websites every 3 years. And I don't know what else you do with your external stuff, right? You get so excited about all that, and then you got the business coming in and it's broken. So
we've got to think about, you're absolutely right. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you've got to think about the math of sales, right? You're spending an X amount of money, you're generating an X amount of leads. What's your cost of acquisition, right? Every business, right? In healthcare, we're not used to it, but in my business, one of the things I look at is that, okay, I'm spending an X amount of money. These are the leads that are coming in. We call them marketing qualified leads. They come in When we schedule them, they come in, they become sales qualified leads. And what's our math, right? If it costs me, what does it cost me to acquire a dental implant patient? Is it $50? Is it $100? Right? And once I figure that math out, right? Once I figure out that if I can keep spending on, right? If that gives me efficiencies, if I can spend $80 for every dental implant patient and that schedules, converts, and accepts, right? Then how many more $80 will I spend? As much as possible until I can't see the patients anymore. And that's where it is, right? We've got to really understand the math of the economics. And my CPA background comes in a little bit in this picture, because what I want to do is, I'm like, if I can tell you that for every $1,000 you spend, you can make $10,000, then you'll keep spending that $1,000 until you run out of capacity. Right?
Well, sorry, Amol, but the cost of client acquisition also is important, because to understand the math as you're stating, but realize this, if you're missing these costs, your cost of acquisition goes much higher.
Right.
And if you're going much higher with your cost of acquisition, your ability to scale is much more limited. So if it's costing you $100 to get one client, but yet you have 50 missed calls, well, guess what? It could have cost you $50 to get that one client if you just answered the calls.
Correct. And one of the things we analyze this, and there's a lot more to this, which I can't go over every single thing. I encourage your users to schedule a demo with us, but we analyze these things. Okay, reasons not connected. How many people actually reached voicemail? How many people hung up the phone? How many people just hung up because they got frustrated? And when you dig deeper into this data, you realize that some of these people are marketing people. Now, I have 173 calls missed right during business hours right here, which means even if 10% of those people were new patients, that's 17 new patients. Like, would I like 17 new patients without, again, spending any more money on marketing?
Well,
yes, of course I would.
Yeah, so now let's continue that discussion. 17 new patients missed. How much does that cost you monthly to bring into your business? Absolutely. But they were already in your business, you just missed it. So this is so powerful, you guys. And this is why, as a coach, I go into an office and I say, hey, give an hour of your time every week. I know you're going to give me the BS excuse that you're so busy, you can't pay attention. I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. Well, that's BS. You own a business. Stop being so busy. Start paying attention. But look, if you give an hour of your time, some of these snapshot highlights can be presented to you and it can wake you up. Right. And in fact, it can keep you up at night because you're excited, because you cracked the code, instead of keep you up at night because you're stressed because you can't pay payroll. Right. So there's a huge difference and a huge opportunity here for you as a private practitioner. And this is why I think working with Amol is great, because I'm a private practitioner for 20 years. I don't own a DSO. I don't have 5 dental practices. I don't have 50 dental practices. And the squeeze is on us to be more efficient, to be more effective, to be more valuable, to value the dollar that we spend for external marketing to bring in sales. Well, if I'm more efficient and I close those holes, guess what? My cost of acquisition in this example drops to $50. I've doubled my new patients potentially monthly.
And that's how you compete, right? That's how you compete for the same dollars, right? You've got, if your cost of acquisition is $50 and you're spending $2,000, it's 40 patients compared to a competitor whose cost of acquisition is spending the same amount of money and spending $100 per acquisition. That's how you compete.
I'm upset because I wish I knew this 15 years ago.
It didn't exist, right? It didn't exist.
But you get my point. My point is, boy, how many mistakes have I made? How many missed calls have I had in my place of business since 2003 when I got into business? It's crazy. And even maybe the last month.
Well, here's the thing. Here's an interesting statistic from our performance report. Here's 5 patients that could not schedule an appointment because you didn't have room on the schedule. Like, how do you not, like, not knowing that, man, my schedule is not optimized. I don't have any room. My days booked out is 55, right? What do I do, right? These are the things. See, this is what AI does. It takes hindsight. Hindsight is what happened in the past, creates insight from it, right? Okay, well, 5 patients of mine new patients could not come in because scheduling was a concern, right? And now based on that insight, now I'm going to project foresight. What I'm going to do, I'm going to figure out, can I expand my hours? Can I optimize my schedule? Can I open up on weekends? This happened a lot with our clients in the pandemic. But then knowing that's intelligence. Data and intelligence are two separate things, right? Data is just hindsight. Insight is where AI says, well, I said, by the way, but they didn't have any appointments available. And that's why they couldn't get in. And during the pandemic, we made such a big impact with our practices. We called them and saying, guys, open up a little extra hours, open up on a Saturday. You can't afford to lose these patients. They need to be seen. They need to get their perio maintenance visits done. Those things were important. And that's what this does. This is not just a software platform that tells you how many calls you missed or what did you not do, but also tells you operationally that your schedule might not be optimized. You need more capacity. You need to add an operatory. Those are the type of things you need to know.
Well, I tell you what, we're a little bit out of time now, Amol. We got into this, and I know there's so much more to present here, but what I wanted everyone to realize is I'm excited. You can already tell some of the missed opportunities that you're having in your place of business. And the relationship that I'm going to be working with Amol here is to do just that. Come into your business at a high level, show you these dashboards, show you these opportunities that you can have that exist in your place of business right now without you spending any extra dollars. And you'd be very excited about that. You got to be. If you got 400,000, you can get 75,000 back. That's a lot of fillings that you have to do in order to fill that gap in. So I think efficiency, operation efficiency, and I think the key word here, patient acquisition tool. And as Amol stated here, it provides more than just that. I mean, if you're booked for 2 months and your production is not very high, then you're not being very efficient in those hours. So, one, increase your prices, 2, learn how to treatment plan, but 3, also add evening hours, add weekend hours. Those are some things, because you're losing all those patients simply because you can't fit them in. So whether you're a DSO or a private practice, I know at times I've talked to private practitioners that say, I'm so booked with my hygiene patients, I can't get anybody in. I have 2 hygienists working 4 or 5 days a week, and we're booked for 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Well, these are some things that you can pay attention to at a high level and be able to help you. So with that said, Amol, listen, man, thank you so much for your time today. If anybody's interested in contacting Patient Prism, obviously you can reach out to me directly. You should all have my cell phone. You can schedule a demo as you see here. But as we move forward, patientprism.com is the website you want to go to, and you can schedule a demo. But as we move forward, implementing an hour of coaching as well is going to be very valuable, because you need to start paying attention to your business. And I hope you all respect the importance of that. Amol, thank you, my friend, for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you, and I look forward to our partnership going forward. I think we're going to be able to help a lot of people.
Thanks, buddy. I'll be in touch with you. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
All right.